Yeah, for sure. Look, I'll send you over a couple of exercises now, and we'll catch back up in a couple of weeks, yeah? Sound good? Alright, lush. Take it easy. Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it? Alright guys, Ian here from 79 Sports Therapy. So, we're still in lockdown, we still can't see patients face to face, everything that we're doing is virtual. And look, that's really, really hard for us. Obviously, a large portion of what we're doing, is being manual, whether it be, sort of assessing, diagnosing, sort of tracking progress, whether it be sort of structurally, or sort of hands-on assessment-wise. Certainly in terms of some of the sort of treatment work that we're sort of doing, it's very kind of hands-on. So look, this is a really sort of challenging period for us, and obviously for you guys as patients, whether you be sort of current patients or new patients, there is a bit of sort of trepidation as you guys. Well, what's the point? What's the point in seeing us virtually when normally we'd be in here in the clinic doing a little bit of sort of hands-on stuff. So today, just wanted to take you through exactly kind of what it is that we're doing virtually, so you guys can kind of understand what that process looks like, what it is that you guys are still going to get from us. Again, with the idea of making sure that everybody is sort of on point, so when we do then break this lockdown, we're sort of all good. So first and most important thing for us is education. Now obviously if you've ever been to see us before, you'll know that education plays a really, really major part in terms of sort of what we do. It's not just hands-on work, it's not just rehab work, it's not just exercise, it's not just stretching, it's also educating about, very, very sort of simple things, like, whether I should put ice on it, on my injury, what structures are involved, how are they involved, that ability to recall, so that you actually understand, right, this is what is actually going on, this is why I need to do this is why I need to take this plan of action. Additionally, obviously at the moment, one of the sort of major issues we're sort of running into with sort of quite a lot of the patients that I've sort of spoken to in this sort of period, is, just the day-to-day, we're not moving much, we're all based in kind of home offices, so it's the education from that side of things. So, what do we do with our desk at home? If we don't have a desk, how do we sort of fabricate a desk, or, sort of bodge something together that sort of, allows for, the most appropriate kind of workspace? How do we incorporate sort of moving more in our day? So I think, the education side of things doesn't just have to be what's going on in terms of the actual structural, so the anatomy side of things, but it can also then sort of transcend across into your sort of daily activities. So as I say, in terms of your home office setup, in terms of moving more, in terms of exercise that you should probably, could possibly be doing, again, to make sure you're as mobile, as comfortable, as pain-free as possible, sort of during this time. Again, so that when obviously sort of lockdown does break and we can get out and we can do more, everybody's then in sort of good shape to do so and aren't then sort of likely to break themselves. So the second thing is obviously rehab. And look, rehab's really easy to do remotely. We do kind of fall down a little bit in terms of the sort of teaching of exercise, and sometimes we do have to make compromises. And I think this period is kind of really about compromise. The idea that, not everybody has now access to a gym, right? So in terms of sort of prescribing, sort of exercises, if we normally need to load you up as we would do in the gym, well, we have to compromise. We have to kind of, sort of come up with sort of different variables. Not everybody's going to have, sort of appropriate kit at home. This is our rehab box. Obviously, here we've got a step. Most people will have a step at home. Bottom step, the kind of staircase usually works sort of perfectly fine. But actually, if not, do you know what? Like, some books often kind of work. Something like that is perfectly fine. In terms of the actual kind of rehab kit, what have we got? I mean, this is a balance pad. I love this bit of kit. This is a balance pad. These are like 20, 30 quid, something like that. Sort of fairly cheap. We've got bands. We've got more bands. We've got more bands. We've got more bands. We've got more bands. Bands are really cheap, right? So in terms of actually kind of getting kit in, actually they kind of allow us space to load people up. Okay, it's not the same amount of load as we would get in the gym, but again, it's making that compromise. Can we then load you up in a way in which we're going to get some training stimulus that isn't necessarily just about intensity? When we look at the rehab side of things, we look at training stress, and loads of different people call it as different things, but if we just think about it as training stress, it's an equation, right? So training stress equals intensity times volume. Well, the intensity is going to be sort of quite low, with those bands. We're thinking, sort of 4 or 5 kilos maybe with a lot of those bands. So we're not going to add on the sort of same amount of sort of load, but what we can do is we can then manipulate the volume side of things. We can manipulate, sort of lifting speed, so the actual tempo of the lifts, and start to kind of actually, sort of manipulate all these other variables whereby actually we get the outcome that we kind of need. What else we got in here? Well, these things. So these are sliders. They're actually really, really good for a variety of different sort of exercises, but actually they're not sort of necessarily needed. One of the other ways in which you can sort of do basically the sort of same as this is use a towel on like a sliding floor, like a kitchen floor, or sort of wooden floor. So actually, do you know what? You don't even need these necessarily. We've got a hand exerciser kit. This is great, and actually I've been using this myself. So sort of things like this, very sort of simple equipment. I think this was a tenner or something like that. So actually pretty cheap. And then balls. So lacrosse ball. Bigger ball, tennis balls. Simple things that actually really don't cost a huge amount of money. Make a world of difference. When we start to think about the our sort of sort of mobility sort of side of things, again, all of these sort of additional kind of bits of kit, again, we don't have to spend a lot of money on them. I've got a fancy pants kind of foam roller, but actually, do you know what? Like any kind of sort of cylindrical roller does exactly the sort of same job. These lacrosse balls, they're not massage balls, they're lacrosse balls. So when we're doing specific trigger point work, so whether it be around the hip or what have you, we'll use these. These are like £2. We're not spending a lot of money on this kit. So when we think about rehab, actually it's not about you can only do this stuff in the gym. It's about here's how we facilitate your ability to do this stuff at home. When we start to think about load, we take like a double leg squat. Double leg squats are sort of king of exercises. If we want to get lower body strong, we generally do a double leg squat. Well, we can always pare that down to a single leg. We can do a loaded version of it. So one of the sort of favourites is to do like either a front foot elevated or rear foot elevated. So using a step to kind of adjust that load. A sort of split squat. So front foot elevated split squat, rear foot elevated split squat. Again, we can load that up. So at home, most people are going to have a bag of some kind. Well, chuck some kit into a bag. Here's what it looks like. From a rehab point of view, it's actually really easy to load up. It's really easy to kind of create a degree of sort of adjustment, and actually kind of sort of put us in a sort of space whereby we're actually able to get the training stress that we need without necessarily the equipment that we would do normally. The key in this phase is just sort of adaptation. So adapting everything into possibly slightly more of a mobility, slightly more of a sort of good movement pattern model versus a shift a load of sort of big tin kind of model. It's less about the absolute strength at the moment just because of access. But that doesn't mean that from a rehab point of view we just say, right, that's it, don't need to do rehab. Actually, what we can do is these, very simple, very easy bits of kit to kind of get your hand on, and then a bit of sort of adaptation in terms of sort of exercises actually allows us to get that training load, that rehab load, without really worrying about, I can't get to the gym. But look, take-home messages definitely want a sort of adaptation, and that's not just from sort of our practice, but also in terms of sort of what you guys are doing. We're still here to kind of look after you and help support you, even if we're not doing it face to face. Obviously, if you need to kind of sort of catch up with us over video, that's perfectly fine. Either comment below or across, drop us a message across any of our sort of social media platforms, or obviously sort of drop and sort of ping us across an email. All the details are on our website. But that's us for now. Don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe. See you next time.